This week in news includes more Tesla slander, with it being the most recalled brand ever. Shocking. Shocking. The new 2024 Hyundai Elantra finally has a front end that I don't hate, and I see the doors, and then I get sad again because I don't know why they creased the doors. It looks silly. And the most common question I continue to get asked is, hey, Alex, what car should I buy that's reliable and modify until I add a silly intake and forget to tune it? So today, I settle the score. I fix the problem that so many people care about. I try to convince you to stop buying a Subaru and why the car you're probably modifying right now is going to disappoint you. Merry Christmas. Oh my God, so good. I'm kidding, by the way. I'm Alex, AlexMartini with 2 underscores on Instagram, and thank you so much for the support over on Martini Works. Truly. For those that don't know, I finally launched a site where you can add your build threads, ask questions, write blogs, and buy parts based on what works best for you and your building type. So no matter if it's drag racing, drifting, shows like car shows, or track, we have a little bit of everything. And we are a little bit broke right now because we built a website. So if you do need something for your car, hit us up and we'd be happy to help you figure it out, especially through email because that's the only way we currently can do it. Now, reliability is a bit subjective in my opinion, and here's why. It's not about how reliable it is, but how smart you are with the platform. Now let me give you an example. Subaru. Subaru has probably the most difficult time with car modifications and just enthusiasts in general because they have the biggest flack for being some of the hardest cars to modify. They're the hardest cars to modify not just because the people that buy them and modify them don't treat them with a lot of respect or care or put quality parts on them and forget to tune them. It also has to do with the fact that Subaru doesn't have a lot of tolerance in terms of handling a lot of people's dumbasses. It's really just a thing. When you buy a Subaru, you have to know what you're getting into, and you can't really cut corners. The more you try, the more it has a tendency to bite back. So the tolerances are just completely out of the window with something like a Subaru. The problem is that they're really affordable, so people think that they're getting a great value when they're buying a used one with 190,000 miles. But you also have companies like Toyota that have their ability to handle neglect, to handle pretty much anything you throw at them because of the way that the manufacturer built them. They didn't necessarily handle them with a high tolerance amount, they more just built them to be absolute tanks, which means sometimes when you do work on them, it doesn't mean that they're easy, it just means that whatever you're about to work on was built to handle, World War III, 750,000 miles, 72 owners, and possibly being flipped upside down 2 or 3 times in the Pacific Ocean, because that's just how Toyota makes their cars. But the way that I try to think about it when I'm trying to answer this question is that it's not about how good the car is built when it's done. It's more about how good you are at brushing your teeth at night. And that's a really terrible analogy, but not everyone can handle the same amount of love needed to maintain a car. That's why Subarus get bad raps. So the first thing that actually makes a car reliable to buy and modify is you, right? It's like, it's not to say that some cars are a little bit better than others, in my opinion. I mean, like, how do you find it? You look at the owners, for instance, right? I will say that without a doubt, some of the best owners of cars are Toyota owners, Corvette owners, and I'd also probably say Porsche sports car owners. And let me explain why. Because Toyota owners care about their cars a ton. Like, they usually buy these cars new and they'll run it until their 6-year-old turns 16, and then their kid needs a car at 32 and their kid also needs a car. It's just a car that gets passed down. And Toyota owners, they don't just take care of the car in terms of preventative maintenance, but proactive maintenance too. Corvette owners, they're just so damn proud of their cars with their 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, so almost all of them come cleaner than a dentist's office. It's just a thing that Corvette owners do, unless you're buying it from somebody that's young, in which case that usually gets thrown completely out of the window. And most Porsche owners, well, they're Porsche owners. They're a little bit snobby, but the dealerships, like, they never leave you alone the moment you buy one. Now, that's not to say that the SUVs and all that crap are a completely different monster and demographic, but the Porsche 911s, solid, okay? Having good previous owners makes cars reliable. It's just a fact, okay? But certain people buy certain cars that help perpetuate the claim that certain models are better or worse for you to own. So follow along, because how does that matter in the world of modifications of cars? Merry Christmas. Well, picking a car to modify comes down to the stuff, like above, right? How easy is it to work on? How well was it maintained by all the people who owned it before? And what of the two things is probably bullshit from a marketing pitch when you look at the car's platform? But when you modify, you're opening up a huge can of worms, which is why picking a reliable modified car can be such a pain. This feels nice. in the ass. It just is. But speaking of cars being like modifiable and reliable, how about theft? Okay, a car gets stolen every 27 seconds. And even though your car may be slammed on the ground or it's a manual, it doesn't stop people from trying. And that sucks. The same thing happens online. People use your sensitive information to buy cars, steal your identity, and use that credit score you built up in high school to buy car parts on an 80% APR with no intention of paying back, which sucks even more. That's why this video is sponsored by Aura, because I'm on my phone a ton. Literally a ton. It almost makes me uncomfortable. And cybercrime has reached over $10.3 billion in losses just last year. While my cat photos are sensitive, the information I have on my phone to pay my bills, to head to car shows, to check my car savings balance so that I can buy another car part, can all be at risk. So Aura gives you real-time alerts on suspicious activities, like if somebody was opening up a loan or a credit card in your name. It has tools like identity theft protection, financial fraud protection, one of my favorites, mobile VPN, antivirus, a smart vault. So go over to aura.com/AlexMartini to start your free trial, and also linked below in the description. And thank you, Aura, for coming on board with this video. If I like a car, I give up on everything I just said because I'm gonna own it and modify it anyway. I'm completely just throwing out every sense of logic, which I do all the time. The first thing I always start with is whatever engine it has was either built for the driving experience, to live forever, or to blow up at 100,000 miles. Those are typically exclusive characteristics of motors, okay? So which one are you buying? And be honest with yourself. Like driving experience engines like the BXZE, it's the BSZE in the Mazda Miata, for instance, was a new motor. It was something that was a little bit, innovative, but with only 7,200 RPM and 115 horsepower, it wasn't maxing out its capacity. It was built to be carried by the chassis it was in. It's what makes the motor so much fun. Therefore, you have an engine that weirdest thing was it was an aluminum, I think a sump, with cooling fins that sometimes gave people problems. That was the biggest thing that you really had to worry about. The final one is the most fun, but it's also the most controversial, and where a lot of these kind of fake sports cars can sometimes sit. They're built to last to a certain mileage, seemingly no weaknesses at launch, brand new everything every 3 years, and no heritage. It's fun, like a Friday night fling, but it's scary, like the doctor visit on Saturday morning. Any car you think of can be put into those 3 buckets, any one of them. And after you figure out that part, you'll begin to figure out what kind of car you're going to buy, and then what the modification life is going to be like for you. It's really actually kind of simple. Pair why it was built with who owned it before you, and then be honest about how really smart you are with cars. And if you're probably looking at that little bucket, you're looking at an IS300, Toyota GR86, 2015 Nissan 370Z, new Edge Forge Mustang, and for some odd reason, because it snuck in with the other kids even though it's underage, a 2008 Subaru WRX STI. Reliability though is a sham. It's all about who owned it and how they treated it. Unreliable cars can be great with the right owners, but saying right owner kind of sort of implies you as well as you own it. I know you think you're top shit, but sometimes we're not, okay? And while we may be able to afford the car we dream of or build up, that doesn't inherently mean that that's the car you should actually buy. I don't stutter. Just sometimes it's a pending process. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Of course, it means so much for the support, and thank you so much to Aura for sponsoring the video, and thank you so much for the love over on martiniworks.com. I'm Alex, hope you subscribe. We will see you later. Adios.